Up next is the App of the Week segment. This is a segment dedicated to app demonstrations. Should you have an app that you would like to demonstrate for our listeners, feel free to send us the recording of such an app demo to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And now for this week's episode, here's your App of the Week.
And we continue with the App of the Week. Here is Warren Carr talking about the app. As we stated in the intro of our podcast, it's going to be DBMB. It's a really useful app if you don't want to hear the calls from unwanted numbers. Over to you, Warren.
Hi, Warren here for Blind Android Users Podcast. And as we continue with our App of the Week series for episode 241, I'll be demonstrating an app simply called DBMB. Delta Bravo Mike Bravo. In Warren's translation, this translates to Don't Bother My Baby, Karine. Now, in all seriousness, DBMB is not a call blocker, it's not a spam blocker. However, it's basically silencing calls or contacts that you do not have in your contacts. In other words, DBMB is not necessarily a spam blocker, rather it's a silencer. In other words, if you get calls from numbers that you do not have or contacts that do not exist in your contact list, those phones are not going to be rang aloud for you to hear. They will be silenced. For today's demonstration, I'll be utilizing my S23 Plus running One UI 7 in Android Accessibility Suite 15.1. I am on the play page of DBMB and will navigate to that description and will listen to its description. And there afterwards, I'll come back and tap on the install and let's get started. Here is the description of the app.
About this app. Heading. Google Play Store. DBMB mute spam and unknown calls. Details. Silence unknown calls. Stay available for who matters. No distractions. Your phone rings. An unknown number. Again, you're focused, present, but the moment breaks noise you didn't ask for. DBMB restores silence, and the core feature, muting unknown calls, is completely free. What it does, silences unknown and anonymous calls. No ringing, no alerts, no pop-ups. Missed calls stay visible in your log. One-tap activation or deactivation. Lightweight, private, invisible. No filters, no guessing, no noise. DBMB doesn't block calls. It doesn't analyze, predict, or filter. It simply mutes any number you haven't saved. Only trusted contacts make your phone ring. Why DBMB? Other apps rely on cloud databases, crowdsourced ratings, or AI. They try to identify spam. DBMB doesn't try. It solves the problem at the root. If you didn't choose the caller, the phone stays silent. No accounts, no ads, no tracking. Just peace by design. DBMB Pro for those who want more. Unlock advanced tools. Extended log of silenced calls. Trusted prefixes and custom rules. Regex. Anonymous call counter. Option to notify on repeated unknown calls. Full control always available. One-time purchase. No subscription. DBMB protects your time. Your attention is not for sale. Note, on some Android devices, silence calls may appear full screen without an answer button. This is expected Android system behavior. App info. Version 1.1.0. Updated on July 15, 2025. Downloads. 1,000 plus downloads. Download size. 3.32 megabytes. Required OS. Android 11 and up. In-app purchases. $3.99 per item. Offered by Manthia Labs. Released on June 8, 2025.
And that's both the description and the history of the app. As you can see, this is a very young app. I'll now navigate my way back though to that installation page and let's tap on Install.
Play Store. Install. Button. Verified by Play Protect. Pending. Navigate up. Button. DBMB mute spam and unknown calls. 1%, 8%, 9%, 100%. Installing. Shortcut to DBMB added on home screen.
We're done with the installation and I'll now tap on Open.
Button. Open. DBMB. Welcome to DBMB.
The first thing we heard was Welcome to DBMB. And moving on down, though we don't have any buttons near the top or anything of the sort, so I'm just going to move down from here.
DBMB is free to use. It silences unknown calls with one tap. No tracking, no ads, just peace.
And moving on down across the bottom of the phone is
Next button.
we're now on page 2.
Core function.
And below that,
DBMB silences unknown numbers automatically. No rings, no distractions, just peace.
below that across the bottom,
Next button.
page 3, starting from the top here.
Pro Tools.
And below that,
One more control. Unlock powerful tools like let repeated calls ring, trusted prefixes, web search for unknown numbers. All optional, all private, your silence, your rules.
moving on down,
Next button.
and that's across the bottom of the screen. Next page.
Ready.
And moving on down,
You're all set. Tap Start to complete the setup and get started.
and at the bottom across the screen,
Start button.
let's go.
DBMB. How DBMB works.
We're now in the menu I where we could actually look at the app, and at the very top we have their logo.
Logo DBMB. Image.
And moving on down from there,
To protect your focus, DBMB needs permission to silence unknown calls.
and below that,
Set DBMB as default button.
in other words, we need to make it like our caller ID in order to be able to see the incoming calls and all of that. So I'll tap here,
Set DBMB as your default caller ID in spam app. None. Current default. Selected. Radio button.
and I'll move on down.
DBMB. Not selected. Radio button.
DBMB not selected, and I'll tap here to select that as my caller ID default.
Selected.
And at the bottom of the screen,
Set as default button.
set as default.
DBMB. Logo DBMB. Image.
We're back in the UI and we're landed on that image, the logo, and moving on down.
Protection disabled.
We heard protection disabled, and to the right of that,
Off. Switch.
this is an on-off switch. In other words, if you want that protection, you turn this on. We'll come back to it, but if you turn it on, here are the things you'll be allowing as a result of turning that switch on. Here's what we're talking about.
Now you're ready. Unknown numbers won't make your phone ring.
And below that,
Advanced features.
and here are the options that can only be enabled by turning on that switch that I saw earlier above there.
Trusted prefixes. Button disabled.
It's disabled because we haven't turned that switch at the top on. Next.
Ring on repeated calls. Button disabled.
Next.
Call silence log. Button disabled.
And last button at the bottom of the screen.
How DBMB works.
Now let's go back though and turn on that switch there for the protection, and these things will be enabled.
Protection disabled. Off. Switch.
And I'm going to tap on that to turn it on.
On.
And now let's look at these items that were earlier disabled.
Trusted prefixes. Button.
That is enabled.
Ring on repeated calls. Button.
Now, if you tap on any of these, for example, it will then take you to where you could configure them as to how you want them to be. In other words, for example,
Ring on repeated calls. Button.
if I want that repeated caller to be let through, then I go in here and say, if you calls X number of times, just let them through. And if you tap on either of these, you'll be taken to the page where you could purchase that one-time payment of $3.99. It's not a subscription, and many people these days are now making things subscription-based, and I like these guys because this is a one-time payment. Here's what I'm talking about.
Dialog. Upgrade to DBMB Pro. Take control of your phone like never before. Trusted contacts always ring. Ring on repeated calls. Access a detailed silent calls log. One-time payment. No ads. No tracking. Just peace.
No accounts needed, none of that crap. Now below that on the left, we got,
Close. Button.
and to the right of that,
Unlock DBMB Pro. Button.
and if you tap on this, it'll take you to the Play Store, for example.
DBMB Pro. DBMB mute spam and unknown calls. Current price $3.99 plus tax. Google Play Store. Google Play.
There you have it. And that would conclude this demonstration of the DBMB Don't Bother Me Bro, or Don't Bother My Baby Carrying. That's the Warren's translation. Thanks for listening to the demonstration of DBMB. And that's it. Thank you so much, Sally, for that. And yeah, I call it Don't Bother My Baby Carrying. Carrying, if someone's trying to bother you, tell them I say don't bother you. But that's
Well,
what
I have
DBMB is.
you. I have you to protect me and your recommended apps. So, but I'm not gonna use it because SCR actually contains this feature. As far I remember, I think it has it. Anyway, but for me, I don't think that I'll ever, at least now, do silence calls because, I mean, sometimes someone who is not in your contacts list might need to call you for a reason. So having the call not ring, it's not something that I personally think is a good thing to do. I know that you guys face the issue of a lot of spam calls and advertisement stuff and things. Until now, here things are quieter, so we usually don't need to deal much with this. Maybe because also, actually, we're not the country that scammers could care for because of the financial state. And yeah, so I think this is something good for us.
Yeah, because a lot of people call here, all the time. We get calls, and it's so annoying. And what they have now done is, they kind of become sophisticated because they will, use calls or call from your area code, local area code to make you think, or someone within your city or someone in your region, is calling you, and in reality is just a scammer. I've gotten several of these, last week, and always talking about, your taxes, we are trying to help you. The government is trying to do this and all of that. And, there are some people out there that fall for this nonsense. And so I can see the usefulness of this. I don't want to be bothered by unneeded calls. It's absolutely annoying, downright annoying. So I'm actually buying the paid version for $4.
Exactly that. Warren, I found it quite useful since I'm part of some of the groups and I'm managing some of the groups on WhatsApp and other parts. So people see my number and they call me. So I have a setting to turn it on to silence unknown calls, and they're not in my contact list. So I'm glad to have it on and regular phone calls. So if I get any phone call, it's not in my contact list. Like, I don't pick it up, but I don't want to hear when they call me. That's a great one, I guess.
Yeah, and the whole idea is not a spam blocker, and this is what a spam blocker should be doing. You're blocking me from spam, but you're letting it ring through. That is so annoying to me. So, goodness, I can't sing enough praises of this app because the call will be there. But, if you want to see those silent calls, you can look it up in the log and see which it is. And of course, that depends on the fact that you have to buy the paid version, but there are no ads, and it's very simplistic. It's very clean. No accessibility issues, and I think the guy was great for doing that. Thinking of those of us, with disability needs and making it accessible to the screen reader. I don't observe any problems in the UI as you hear in the demo. So I like this DBMB. Don't bother me, bro. Don't bother my baby.